Ask to Me Guys show. Listen, guys, as always, we have a dynamic guest with us today in the person of Brother Joseph Bonner. Now, listen, all of us talk about bullying all the time, and we talk about different kinds of programs and things that are presented. But this young man right here is going to be sharing with you about his processes and programs and how he works. So, listen, give me an opportunity to share a little bit about him with you, and he will share more in depth detail. Brother Bonner is a certified mental health first responder who has dedicated much of his work in media to help raise awareness and provide guidance on topics related to mental health. He is the host of the nationally syndicated podcast, The Joseph Bonner Show, a show designed to provide tips, insights, and support for positive mental health development and crisis management. He is also the publisher of the International Mental Health Magazine, Joseph, a print, online, and digital magazine distributed to over 120 countries to provide comfort, support, and mental health guidance to the international community. At times, Joseph provides one-on-one mental health support for celebrities, executives, and youth striving to find balance and contentment, in their lives. Joseph Barner's comments and work have been featured on Australia's X Factor, Star, and The Independent, and many other things to come. So listen, Brother Joseph Barner, good evening and great to have you here.
Thank you for
Well, listen, it's certainly our pleasure.
Awesome.
And I will ask you, if you do not mind, if you just extrapolate a little further on some of the things that you do. I know you have a magazine, and I know you do, we've already said, one-on-one training sometime. So before I start asking a lot of questions, if you just share with our audience a little more about Joseph Bonner.
Yeah, sure. Well, where do I start? Man, gosh. Well, I grew up in San Diego, California. Didn't really have a mother or father to kind of guide me in the path of life, but I had a lot of aunts who, and my grandmother who were there and were supportive of me, and that really helped me to kind of round as a man. So life was kind of a struggle, I guess, for most of us out there. One of the things that has been my, I guess you could say, my guiding light, as it were, and everything that I do is faith. I read the Bible every day. I try to I live in harmony to the best of my imperfect ability, to abide by the word. So that's a little bit about me personally. Like, I guess who I am and why I am the way I am has a lot to do with my faith, and also the people who have helped make me the man I am today.
So let me share with you, Brother Bonner, is that we have 2 additional cameras, and we offer our viewers the opportunity to come on and FaceTime and ask questions of you themselves. Many times they just choose to watch and they don't ask questions. So don't hesitate to just do what you do. So listen, and you know, you and I talk. We would express a lot or ask questions about the bullying. As we know, it's a worldwide problem, starting with the White House. I mean, let's just call it what it is. It's a worldwide problem, starting with the White House. And in your everyday walk, what interested you in talking about, expressing, and writing about this particular topic?
Well, thank you so much for asking. That's a really great question. And just to start off the conversation, I am politically neutral. So even though I do observe everything happening on the global scene, I stay completely out of it. And all my programs and affiliate organizations have nothing to do with politics. We don't touch it with a 10-foot pole. The reason why I personally feel that getting involved with bullying was something important is that my background is education. So I worked in education for over 10 years before I stepped into the media and marketing spectrum. So I understand that a lot of kids do have issues, and that sometimes the schools and the teachers are unwilling or unable to provide the help and support that our kids really need. Also, another thing that I understand about working with the schools for so long is that it is impossible for educators to provide 100% protection for our youths. I know that, because I worked with the school districts. And so for me, it's always been about, what more can I do to support the young people of today's generation, and how can I be a greater asset to them? You know what I mean? So I think that's kind of why I decided to start this program, because I realized that it's a space that I have a passion for. Um, Although I was interested in in this particular venue back in 2013, and I did do a couple of projects, with some celebrities around bullying, I was still a little bit unsure about where I would fit into the space. 2000 was 19 now. It took me a while to figure it out. But now we actually have launched a national bullying intervention talk line so that young people and parents can call in anonymously and report their situation, get one-on-one insight and tips, while they're going through the situation, so that we can provide that, I guess you can say, that avenue of support. Kids are feeling like they don't have options. They're either resorting to violence, school violence, or hurting themselves. And both of those things, my program is really designed to counter by making sure that those kids' voices are heard before it gets
Okay.
to that critical
And as
situation.
you share that, I often wonder when we talk about bullying, as it were, when it lends itself to the person being bullied. Do you ever encounter the bully themselves, or have the opportunity to work with those that bully?
Well, I'm gonna be honest with you. Most people who reach out to us are reaching out to us because their child or they themselves are being bullied. It's probably a rare occasion where we will have somebody who says, "Oh, I'm bullying and I need help." But our program is also available for people who feel that they are under that category of the bully and just kind of need some guidance to kind of work through those issues. Because the reality is that most people who bully are presently being bullied at the same time, and so for them, bullying others who they feel are weaker, are less likely to defend themselves, is like an emotional outlet for them. So obviously, I don't hate bullies because I know that they are people who are in pain and are hurting, and some of them are being bullied at home, are bullied in the community or whatever. It's really just a matter of making sure that the people who are being victimized are not forgotten and that their voice is not muffled, because people are
Okay.
focused on other
And
things that are
as you
not
share
important.
that, being a former educator slash present educator myself, I often wonder why,
Yes, sir.
and you shared with me that you are an educator and you and all of the programs that you have. I say I wonder why. I don't really wonder why. I want to rephrase that question to you: is when you encounter
Okay.
professionals such as yourself that are involved in education, do you find it difficult to have? Maybe you haven't had those conversations yet, but I often wonder if those of us that work with the prevention or bringing light and trying to help those that are being bullied, do you find that others in the profession or administrators and teachers specifically are resistant to let's say having programs to come into the schools to work with their students, and or if they're administrators with the staff and that kind of thing, to quelch squelch some of the bullying that may be taking place, or are they just totally obstinate to the idea of someone working? And I know this is a long question. They're totally obstinate, the opposite of working with bullying, and just ignore it as, the old saying, boys will be boys or kids will be kids.
That's a great question. I think what a lot of schools and districts are afraid of is they're afraid of their school or their system being labeled as non compassionate towards bullying. And so, what a lot of the times the resistance that you get from the schools and the districts is not because they don't care, but they're more operating off of fear. Like, oh, what if this gets out, and what if this damages our reputation? So it's not that they don't care about the kids, but like I said, they're more concerned though about their reputation, and that is what bothers me the most. That attitude is counterproductive for the kids that they service. And that's one of the attitudes that in my program I don't prescribe to, I don't subscribe to, and I certainly don't have any toleration for it. I think that there are a lot of educators and school districts that are really open to the idea of getting education and also implementing preventative measures. However, when it comes down to when there is a situation that is real and that is potentially dangerous to the school or administration's reputation, then you'll start to get a lot more kickback because of that fear. And for the parents and the kids who are on the other side of the situation, they feel like they have no answers, they have nowhere to run because the school and the board and the district, it's a big entity to be up against when you're just a little kid, saying, hey, somebody's messing with me. I don't have any fear when dealing with those situations, and so we pretty much address them, face forward, head on, if that makes sense. But I don't think that the schools are necessarily malice and they don't want to work on it. I just think they're operating off of fear, which I could say is counterproductive. Our kids
Absolutely, they
deserve
do.
better
And
than
of
that.
course, yes, that makes a world of sense. So as you share that, then I'm sure there are a lot of times because of just what you just explained, parents become probably totally exasperated. Uh, and the child, I'm sure, even more exasperated because he or she will be the ones that are actually involved in the bullying. And when you encounter those kinds of situations, do you find then that the administration is even more willing to listen if the parents and or the child express total exasperation and frustration, or do you find that their attitudes pretty much remain the same to protect their reputation as an institution of learning?
Right. Well, like I said, once a reputation is on the line, then they kick into what's called survival mode, right? So unfortunately, when those schools and those administrators kick into what's called survival mode, as I term it, they start to make decisions that is solely based on maintaining the reputation and the image of the school and the district. And like I said, what's beneficial for the kids and for the families is oftentimes overlooked. One of the things that I like parents to do, and this is one of the reasons why we're really trying to make sure that people understand that there's a hotline you can call to get support with your situation, is if we can nip it in the bud before the bullying situation gets critical. It's easier to work with the schools and administration on resolving the issue. But once those situations get critical, the districts will start to protect themselves. And I get it. You know what I mean? It's a business. It's a company. I understand it. Like, I completely understand where they're coming from as well. Nevertheless, I'm still all about the kids. So, like, even though I can understand and sympathize where they're coming from, I'm still going to do my very best to make sure that this kid is protected, regardless of somebody's reputation. But if accessing this information a lot sooner before those situations get critical, it would to work with the schools and administrators to get resolutions quickly.
Well, listen, let me say bravo, first of all. Secondly, I have had, and I'll speak personally to this, I've had serious trepidations about like that, administrators like that, etc. Because you're hitting all the nails on the head. I mean, it's about the child, and that's really our jobs is to ensure that all of our children are safe. And at one time we had the mantra. I know you don't get involved in politics. I don't either, really, but I just want to mention this. We had the mantra "No child left behind" and that kind of thing. Well, unfortunately, in my experience as an educator, as an administrator, is that I didn't find a lot of my colleagues that actually believed that because of what you're sharing right now. That is to, excuse me, to protect the brand and allow the child to be part of what I
Right.
always called the wasteland, not realizing that
Mm.
our job is to prepare. We love to say tomorrow's future, but and that's exactly what it is. So in moving forward, when you encounter parents who have been reluctant, let's say, about confronting, and I'll use the word confront for lack of a better word right now, about confronting
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
an unacceptable situation with the school not addressing the actual bullying going on with their child.
Well, that's a really, really great question. As a matter of fact, I mean, since I got you on the line today, I want to share with you something that was sent to me today that was absolutely heartbreaking. It's a mother. Her child has been bullied since the beginning of the school year, and she's tried. She spoke with the school time and time again. The situation got worse, and not so much so where the young man had to
Wow.
start seeing a psychiatrist. Okay, and this is something that happened this year. Like this wasn't a long term, years and years of bullying. You know what I mean? I want to play this video for you just to listen to the torment and the fear in this young man's heart. She was taking him to school, and as she's driving him to school, this is this
Okay.
is what happens. I want you to listen to this.
You go this way! I don't want to go! No! No! I'm not going! 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 I'm not going!
Wow.
I'm leaving!
Wow.
Now, that is a video of a 10-year-old Troy, and his mother was dropping him off at school. And this is how terrified he is
Yeah.
just to go to school. And mother tried to pull him out of it, and say, let's stay home for a few days. And the school threatened her and saying, oh, if you don't bring him back within 10 days, we're
Okay.
going to report you. So this is what I'm saying is where parents sometimes will fight back and they will try to take the steps that they need to take to protect their children. And they're being
Yeah.
bullied in a sense. And children are remaining in these situations because now parents feel like there's nowhere to turn. I'm so glad that she reached out to me within a couple of days ago, but I just wish that I would have known about her situation
Yeah.
before it got to this point, because we could have
Yes.
prevented all this. You know what I mean?
Yes. Well, man, that's all the machismo aside. I mean, that is really sad. That's heartbreaking, and I will share with you again very openly on air. I think I told you in our preliminary talk. I was the guy that used to. I'm not proud of it, but I was the guy that used to whip the bullies behind because it seems like
Mm-hmm.
what you just played for me. I'll admit I've never heard or witnessed as a young person or an older person anyone being that terrified. However, I have witnessed situations that were not nice, and it just blows me away, and that's why I say I have to go on record to say. I mean, I'm not bragging about it. Some may say, "Well, then, when you were a bully," and I say, "Not at all," because I didn't bother people. But when I saw people being bullied, I felt it necessary to come to their support. Now, then of course I get questions. Well, but you're not a police officer, or you should have gone to the principal. Well, just as you are playing for this young man right here, and just as you're talking about people want to secure the reputation of their school and that kind of thing, that's what other young persons are met with when they try to assist that person that's being bullied. So go ahead.
You're right. No, you're right, because actually it's funny that you say that, because little Troy here was he actually had confronted the guy that the young person that was allegedly bullying him. He had confronted this young person because the guy was bullying some handicapped kids in the classroom, and Troy said something about it, and the bully focused and targeted his
Yeah.
energies on Troy more so. So
And
yeah, I hear what
and
you're
that's why I
saying.
say, and we're going to move on. But I just happen to be, and this is not about me. I just happen to be that kid that was big
Right.
enough, strong enough, physical enough that I didn't have to worry about the bully trying to turn on me. And I know that there are children that are in that situation when they try to assist. Now, what I'd like to segue into is the parent. I mean, I know that you've just recently started working with the parent, but do you find that parents are reluctant about going to the news media or about talking? I know a lot of school boards will try to ignore these situations, but do you find parents being reluctant about possibly going to the media or speaking with the school board about these atrocities?
I don't think the parents are reluctant, but because I work in the world of media. The world of media is very, very unique. In order for a story to really have pull, um, you know, news directors and program directors will look for specific things to try to not only generate public interest, but also to make sure that there's credibility. And there's a lot of time and effort that goes into reporting and to ascertaining if the story is credible. Sometimes when you're talking about kids in school, for some media, that's not really a big enough pool. It's a pool when there's a suicide, when there's a school shooting. Well, then every news media wants to cover that because they know that's going to get ratings. When we're talking about just a kid being bullied, and like in the situation where I just played for, stuff like that. I mean, it's sometimes it's a depending on maybe how the news director's feeling, or depending on if they got a bigger story that day. So that's what you're dealing with when you're dealing with the media. So I don't think it's that parents are reluctant. I think that some parents are probably reaching out and just not getting anywhere. That's what I think. Nevertheless, it's you're in a situation where you have parents, like I said, who feel that they are limited in what they can do, and they don't really see any options outside of what they're doing. This mother is really, she's tried to work it out with the school district and got nowhere. So now she's at the point where she's going to remove her kid from the school district, which makes complete sense. Like, she tried, and the problem got worse. And she was told by the principal that they can't do anything to help her. So she's going to do what she needs to do to protect her child. It makes perfect sense.
Wow, she was told by the principal that was wow. See, I'm asking you to share about bullying, but I have to make this statement to you. That is what has always upset me, and it's not about me, about administrators and schools and that type thing. And I'll go on
Right.
air. I once wanted to be a superintendent, but after I saw the politics, it was bad enough being a principal. But once I saw and by the way, Joseph, I stayed in trouble with my superintendents because because
I stayed in trouble too. I didn't care.
I didn't either, man. I was not concerned about all of the fluff and trying to
Right.
pretend that everything was okay, because my focus, I tell people, Joseph, I was naive enough to believe that my job was to help and support and prepare children. I was naive enough to believe that, and I say that
Right.
sarcastically. So, when I hear stories like you're sharing with me, and people saying, well, the principal said there's nothing they could do, then those are excuse me, those are title holders, is what they are. And I'm going public by saying that, unfortunately, too many people are title holders. So as we move forward, when a parent has spoken with you about removing a child from said school, and obviously, as you and I agree, that you don't need me to, but I'm just sharing with you, you and I agree it becomes necessary. How traumatized do you think that child remains entering any school? Obviously, they can't remain where they are, but have you
Right.
experienced that they've become so traumatized that school in and of itself is just a frightening word?
Yeah. Some of them. Yeah. There was a report that I got a few weeks ago, where a young man was traumatized from his last experience at school. And he not only did he not want to go to any school, he didn't want to even be around anybody in authority. Like, he was afraid of police officers. He just had fear because the bullying situation had gotten so extreme. And so when the father had decided to move the young man to a new school, it was so beautiful because his therapist, the young man's therapist, stepped in and, did everything that she could to make sure that, she helped him transition back into normal life, being more comfortable around people in authority. And so the therapist really went above and beyond. And then also the principal, took the young boy under her wing, and she gave him more responsibility in the school to make sure that he felt safe and that he was useful to everybody else. And gradually, over time, this young man got his self-confidence back. But it was a group effort. He got help from his therapist. The principal was, on board with it. His father was always loving and supportive. So it is possible to help kids regain a sense of strength and comfort. But again, it's a community
Yeah.
effort. Takes everybody together.
As you share
Yeah.
that, when you are working with these young individuals, and if I can affectionately call them young individuals, do you
Yeah.
find
Yeah.
that because they've been so traumatized, or because they have issues with authority, that is it difficult for them to, if I, for lack of a better word, warm up to you or to be trusting of you, or does it take long periods of time, or does the situation vary?
That's a great question. I mean, honestly, when young people begin to work with me, they're usually working with me through their parents, and they know that I'm there just as a source of comfort and somebody that's there to fight for them. That's it. That's my role. My role is to fight for you until we see results. So for me, it's children. I guess are not too timid to be around and around me, or to get the support that my program offers. They're actually very welcoming for it. Nevertheless, it's an uphill battle because there has been so much trauma that they've experienced through the situation, and so making sure that they feel comfortable and safe and loved at the same time that we're getting results with their cases. It's work, but like I said, at the end of the day, they're worth it.
Most
They're
certainly they
worth it
are.
all.
You know, Joseph, if I might ask, when you work with parents, because I find it sometimes as an administrator, past administrator, so difficult to actually have parents understand what the child is actually going through. I found that in schools that have zero tolerance, and we've taught our child to, no matter what happens, don't fight back, go talk with the principal, go talk with the teacher, etc. And then the child decides, I've had enough, I'm not taking it anymore, and I am going to strike back. Do you find, and I know all situations vary, but maybe I should ask, have you encountered parents that are understanding of the child, but maybe more objectionable of his or her reactions to being bullied? Maybe that's what I'm looking for.
Hmm. Okay. Well, if I understand your question accurately, it's it's really hard sometimes for young people to fully communicate the depth of pain and anguish they're
Mhm.
experiencing. Not only because they're limited because of their years of experience. Children are still learning how to articulate and compile their words to express emotions. You know, it's all a learning process for them. So some children just aren't don't have the experience necessary to really communicate fully to their parents what's really going on. So that's one thing. Another thing is that there's fear. Kids are afraid of repercussions. They're afraid of reprisal. They're afraid of pushback from other kids and pushback from administrators. Some kids are afraid that the parents are going to overreact, and so what happens is sometimes you have the bridge of communication that's severed because children aren't sure how much information to parents, because there's all these things, emotions and feelings going through their head. And so many times you'll have parents who are left in the dark. They don't really understand how serious it is because their kids aren't communicating it with them because of all these other emotional things. Like in the case with the young man that we just heard in the audio, his situation was so severe that his mother saw it. It wasn't that he even, I mean, and he expressed it because he was just so distraught. But like I said, some kids don't really show those signs until it's too late, until they're already ready to hurt themselves or hurt someone else. So I think it's really important that parents get, I guess you can say, get adept at asking the right questions, probing into the bullying situation. If your kid mentions, hey, I'm being bullied, or hey, somebody's bothering me, investigate it. Don't expect your kids to give you all that information. You as a parent will have to investigate it yourself. Find out exactly what's going on. Ask the right probing questions. See how long it's been going on. How severe is it? What things are happening to your child on a daily basis? These are questions as parents we have to ask our children, kind of just give it to us, because they got all kinds of other things going on in their mind and hearts. I think if we as parents can get into a habit of that, we're going to be more understanding and more aware of what's going on at school, and then know how to step in before it gets too severe.
That's exactly the road I was traveling. Excellent, excellent. That is, if I can segue in we all know, whether we like to admit it or not, when we have children that comes from the inner city, let's say, or to a less progressive academic background, and they are more, quote, street hardened, as opposed to maybe a child that is not soft. So that's certainly not what I'm saying, but has more structure in how to deal with his or her anger and situations. Have you found that to be a vast difference or a medium difference with that? Because we all hear all of the time, well, you can't work with these street kids and they this and they're that, etc. But we know as well. So I asked that question because, again, as a former administrator, I shudder when I see individuals being totally insensitive to children that need help that are being bullied because they may not be from that quote suburban background. Have you experienced any of that, or have you addressed that at all with maybe children that come from, let's can I say the excuse me, can I say the other side of the track?
I appreciate that. No, it's a very honest and real question, and I understand that we live in a world where people are still governed by the way people look, the skin color, the way they sound, the neighborhoods they're from. To say that we don't live in a world where people don't consider those things would be a lie. So to say that it doesn't impact how sometimes kids are being treated and how their bullying is being investigated, that would also be a lie. I can't say that because this is the world we're living in. Nevertheless, irregardless of the world we're living in, there are real solutions to making sure that our children do feel safe and they are protected when they are being bullied in any neighborhood that they live in. I don't care personally. Our program, we don't discriminate. We don't care where you're from. You could be from the suburbs, or from the hood. Where I'm from. It doesn't matter. What matters is that that you have the love and support that you need through our program, and we're going to do whatever it takes to make sure that you're safe. I understand what you're saying. I get it. Yeah.
Yeah, because I have to ask those questions, and I'm so glad that you're open and sharing pleasure of working quote in the hood schools and in your blue ribbon schools, and I can't express enough to those individuals that are administrators and who think they are all that is that children are children, and it's not that difficult to see the sameness and the likenesses. So I just kind of wanted to ask that question. Listen, if if you were to encounter, let's say right now, just off the cuff, a group of parents were to walk in and say, "Okay, Joseph, you know how kids do when they come to class and they kind of sit and look at you like, okay, I'm here, now teach me something." If you were
Mhm.
in a situation where a group of parents just kind of walked in and sat down and say, "Okay, Joseph, you're the guru. Now tell us how to deal with this bullying." Can you give me a short excerpt of what you might say to kind of gain their confidence initially? I mean, I know it's a long work, so don't misunderstand me. I know it's a process, and I know it takes progression. But it has been my experience, Joseph. The reason I asked that question is because I've encountered on several occasions where people just kind of come in and sit down and look at you like, "Okay, you're the guru. Now, tell me something that's going to hold my interest, so I'll continue to listen to what you're sharing with me." Have you encountered that at
I,
this point?
I can't say that I've encountered that per se, but the reality is that every school is different, every child is different, and so to say that there's one answer that's a fix all would be non-factual. Uh, Also, I want to make sure that it's very clear is that I do not believe that schools will be able to eliminate bullying. Our program is not to eradicate bullying. I know you have a lot of programs out there saying we're going to get rid of bullying and we're going to stop it and everything's going to be yay. My program is not. That's not what we are. We are to address the bullying as it comes. That's why our program is called Bully Avengers. We know what's going to happen. We know that it's not about is it going to happen? It's when is it going to happen? So the issue is then how do we address it when it does happen? How do we address it professionally? How do we address it so that all parties are benefited? How do we address it so that every kid feels safe? And how do we address it so that schools and administrators are held accountable for a lack of implementing their zero tolerance policy? That's what it's about. So I do definitely believe that parents can continue to have an active role in their child's life and to make sure that they're doing everything that they can to be, I guess you can say, available when their kids are having issues, being a good listener asking those probing questions. But the reality is that bullying is not going to go away. It will get worse. I mean, mark these words. You're going to see an increase in school the globe, and it's going to intensify. And is going to keep coming back over and over again. Let's stop and we're going to eradicate it. That's not going to happen. Let's address it. And let's let people know that if you do step and cross the wrong kid at the wrong time, there are going to be serious consequences to pay. That's how we fight it.
Wow. Wow. That's powerful. That's powerful, man. Listen, I concur wholeheartedly because all the things you said, and I find that, listen, perfect segue, if you don't mind, can we talk about the magazine a little bit? Can you share with us a little bit about the magazine and how it relates to what you're doing, or is it a separate entity, or do they?
Okay, that's a good. Do they kind of interlap? Yeah. I mean, so I've been publishing Legend magazine for the past 4 years. When I first started publishing, actually, I started publishing it right after I left education. So I was running an after-school program in a community center in San Diego for a couple of years, and I was like, you know what? I feel like I want to do more. I want to impact the world in a more positive way. So I left, and I said, I'm gonna start my own PR firm. I'm gonna start my own magazine, and so that's what I did. So my magazine Legend was originally designed to, I guess you can say, inspire the international community, make sure that we provided resources to people who just kind of needed just to feel encouraged and feel good. At this point today, 2019, everything that we do with the magazine benefits my anti-bullying program. So all proceeds from our sales, our marketing team, all goes to funding our anti-bullying program. So in a sense, we're providing a positive platform to people can be inspired, and simultaneously we're using the funds there to fund the anti-bullying program to make sure that our children are safe. So it's all kind of intertwining today. So yeah, but I've had an opportunity to work with some pretty great people, some pretty great teams. I got a chance to work with Oprah's team, Taylor Swift, Mariah Carey. There's a lot of amazing people who at least when we even first started our magazine back in 2000, was it? I don't know, 2012, 13 or something like that. I don't know. We just got a lot of support that I was just surprised and overwhelmed. So we have a lot further to go with it. My goal is just to make sure that we can continue to provide support to our children. That's my goal.
You know, I'm looking at this bio, and it talks about, as you share about Legend magazine and that kind of thing. And I noticed that you also say sometimes you provide one-on-one mental health support for celebrities. Right. And I'm not asking for names. I just want to just touch on
I said no names.
Okay. But if you were, I have often wondered, as a professional athlete myself, having been a free agent, but I tell people all the time, I was in a camp. So I won't tell anybody I was a quote professional athlete until I actually make a roster. So, I have been around. I've been blessed to have been around a lot of quote big name people, important people, etc. And I often found myself wondering, is that you have quote everything that everybody's trying to strive to get. So I've prefaced that by asking this question. When you share with these individuals, are there underlying, and I think I know the answer to my own question, I mean, are there underlying issues that probably was born in them from childhood, or do you find it primarily being issues that they encounter once they become adults and get into their chosen professions?
I mean, speaking professionally, just in general, with any and all of us, right? The decisions that we make today, the people that we are today, is based on who we were and how we were raised, the experiences that we had. So we all make decisions and do things that is based on our past. And so I think it's important that anybody that's ever seeking any kind of support anywhere understand that if you want to progress and move forward, you're going to have to revisit the past in some shape or form and gain some clarity over those experiences to really understand yourself and who you are today. And I think once you can really fully understand who you are today, it allows you a better platform to move forward, if that makes
Oh,
sense.
it makes excellent sense. So listen, you have been a great, 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 great guest. I don't want to be rude and hold you all night. I want to make sure that I have you on, and I want our audience to know. And by the way, Joseph, I mean, you're getting. I'm looking at my other monitor, man, and you're getting thumbs up and hearts going everywhere. So I want to share that
Well, I
with
appreciate
you.
that.
The audience is really enjoying you. And a lot of times, as I share it, and I don't mind. They can hear me, and I don't. Nobody's asking questions, but I see the thumbs up and the hearts. So you're doing an excellent job. You're making it so clear. So listen,
Well, thank you.
as we close this segment out, do you feel comfortable sharing maybe how they may contact you if they interest someone's or some groups of persons are interested in speaking more with you on a personal or professional level? Would you like to share some contact information, or would you?
Yeah, sure. I mean, honestly, if you have any children or that are being bullied, or you know of a kid being bullied, or your kids are going through something, you just kind of need some guidance. We definitely encourage you to reach out to the Bully Avengers, and that's www.bullyavengers.com. On there, you'll also have a free 800 number that you can call and kind of reach out for some extra support. We're always available to help and guide, to make sure that we're providing resources that our children can utilize and that our children are safe in their school environment. So that's really important to me. Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay, guys, you got that. You need to check out Bully Avengers and go to that website and take care of that business. Well, listen, Brother Joseph Bonner, it's been great having you. I want to say to the audience, I am the Nobody Asked Me guy. I am Melvin Lars. You can find me at www.dyingonmyfeet.com, where once you get there, you'll find all of my social media sites, etc. And as always, I want to encourage you to get my latest book called Mothers and Their Smen, an introspective look at mothers rearing their sons. Now, we've had lots of conversation about that book. And my main question all the time, guys, am I my mother's son or my father's mistake? So you need to get that book.
Mm.
We're having a strong conversation. There's nothing like it. Nobody's telling you how to rear your child. It's just open conversation. So please get that book. And again, we want you guys to go to that website. I want you guys to support Brother James Bonner. Go to his YouTube channels and make sure you hit that subscribe button, not only on Brother Bonner's, but go to the Nobody Asked Me guy and hit that subscribe button. So listen, guys, it's been a great evening, and I'm loving all the thumbs up and all the hearts that I see going up for Brother Joseph Bonner. And you guys didn't come on and ask any questions, but you do have his information. So, Brother Bonner, we appreciate you so very much, sir, and we'd like to have you back. I know that you're working on your magazine, and I thought I read someplace where you are either working on a book or you have some books out there. Am I uh, Miss, am I giving
No,
information
no,
or?
no. You're right. Yeah, I have a couple books out there. I think you can actually download one of them for free. It's mainly how to protect our kids from sexual predators, online bullying, human trafficking. And you can actually download the book for free again at the Bully Avengers website. I think it's on our donate page. Again, it's absolutely free. Just download it and it's another free resources for you.
Okay. Okay, guys. So there you have it. The Nobody Asked Me Guys show. Listen, next week, come back and visit us again. We will be here at 7 o'clock p.m. We have a very interesting guest for you, and I'll be sending information out as I normally do, but we're going to run a series on talking about mental health. We have Miss Michelle Dickinson, who's a mental health advocate as well, and she has a new program that she's starting. We also have coming back with us Mothers 1000 program with Mrs. Taylor, who has a Mothers 1000 program in San Francisco, talking about child violence and murders and that kind of thing. So please come back, join in with us, and see what we're talking about. And again, I want to put Brother Bonner on the spot because I'd like to have this brother back so we can do more in-depth conversation about the process. So, Brother Bonner, I'm putting you on the spot, sir. Look for me to contact you again and to take this thing further.
I look forward to it. Thank you for having me on today. I really
Thank
appreciate
you
it.
for being here. So, guys, have a great and prosperous night from the Nobody Asked Me guy. Good night.
Peace.